All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 3's full board meeting for the month of September 2022. My name is Paul Ringwell. I'm the chair of CB3. We will be starting with the public session, but prior to public session, I advise everyone who's in the attendees list, who is a member of the public, to please sign into the chat for name with your name and your affiliation and attendance for attendance purposes only. Just before I go into public session even further, I will call on the first four people I see in my public session list who speak on against or support an item. If you do not get called on, that is because I've went through all four. If I go right past you and you don't respond, I'll go to the next person. So it will just be four people for each side of any specific item. That being said, I'm going to start with Laura Sewell, who's speaking in support of sugar mouse. Is Laura on? I believe I saw her on the attendees list. You can ask her to speak.
Oh, I have to. Sorry, I need to find her. Okay, Laura, you should be able to speak now.
Yes, thank you. I am. I just want to clarify that I'm speaking actually in opposition to Sugar Mouse, and I'm not able to sign into the chat at all. If you want to work on that on your end. And
all right, go ahead. I'll write it down as opposition.
Thank you. We'd like to register our disappointment with the SLA committee's decision to recommend approval for a full liquor license for number 38 Sugar Mouse at 101 East 10th Street. I'm sorry, it's the sour and sugar thing is confusing me, but I believe it's Sour Mouse at 101 East 10th Street. Despite a strong showing of opposition from nearby residents, this one I think is sugar. 17 residents spoke in opposition, 30 emailed, and 252 signed petitions. We'd also like to thank the members who did not support this application. This is a previously unlicensed space in the basement of the former TD Bank at 10th Street and 3rd Avenue. The bank closed between 4 and 6 p.m. and provided a valuable service to residents. We believe that recommending approval for this license is likely to result in a loss of retail diversity for this corridor. While Sugar Mouse's application is for the basement space only, residents are rightly concerned that granting a full liquor license in the basement space will very likely lead to a full liquor license for the ground floor space on the same premises. I don't know if that the committee fully considered this. The 3rd Avenue between 10th and 11th Streets already hosts large venues, the Smiths, the Doler Shop with Ruby's Cafe around the corner on 11th Street. There are several vacant commercial storefronts right across 3rd Avenue, at least 3 of which have been previously licensed. Before the committee recommends approving a new liquor license in an oversaturated area with 17 full liquor licenses within 500 feet as per the SLA lamp map, even on a commercial corridor, we would hope to hear a robust discussion of public benefit with an opportunity for the public to respond once that has been identified. While the previously unlicensed status was noted in the chair's opening remarks, it wasn't included in the resolution. We flagged this via email and also requested clarification on the number of 301 complaints and the intent of the clause regarding outdoor dining, which is unclear. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you. Next person I have on my list is Marilyn Appleberg.
Okay, let me find her. I'm actually not seeing her on here. I'm not seeing her name.
That's fine. John Center, Center, is he on?
Yes, he's on. Let me find him. As Marilyn, if you're on, would you raise your hand? Your Zoom hand.
John is on, so we can take him. See that.
I'm sorry, I'm finding him. Okay, John, you can speak. You should be able to speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Center, 29-year resident of 115 East 9th Street, a building with 50 children and 260 apartments. Many overlook 3rd Avenue and 10th Street and are 300 feet or less from the applicant's location. 152 residents of our building signed a petition opposing item 38, Sugar Mouse's liquor license application, and 4 spoke in opposition at the committee meeting. There are legitimate grounds to deny this application. Application is for an OP license at a previously unlicensed address. SLA lamp maps show this area is oversaturated with liquor licenses. 17 full OP licenses within 500 feet. Residents believe this proposed operation provides little or no public benefit. Available nearby: billiards on East 11th Street, live music at many locations, comedy and karaoke on St. Mark's Place, 40 years of free outdoor summer concerts right on 10th Street. The applicant's Delancey Street operation previously has violated his CB3 stipulations by hosting pub crawls at least 3 times. The proposed East 10th Street location is not appropriate for this operation. It's a matter of convenience for the applicant and a boon for his landlord. Once these premises are licensed, then there's a very good chance that the ground floor will follow as another late night bar. Quality of life issues in this neighborhood would be negatively impacted by the applicant's late night closing hours. We urge CB3 to deny this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Also and against is Monica Ritter-Sporn. Am I saying that correctly?
Looking.
Person
Monica,
named Monica.
yeah, okay, Monica, you should be able to speak. Monica?
Monica Ritter-Sporn.
Hello. Hi, can you
Yes,
hear me?
go ahead. You have 2
Great,
minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Marilyn is here, but she's by phone, so I don't know. And your chat is not working, so it's not possible to communicate with you. But hi, good evening. Happy New Year. I too am calling to say that I object strongly to this application. There's never been a bar here. There shouldn't be a bar here. It's 5,000 square feet on the corner of 10th Street and 3rd Avenue, an oversaturated area as it is, immediately next to many, many residents who stated clearly they see no benefit. It's absurd that the applicant is stating that his benefit to the community is that he's opening early so after school students can come to a basement bar. I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous in my view. Anyway, that's it. I hope that you two will see that we just don't need this bar or any bar at this location. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, Marilyn, if your phone number ends in 417, you should be able to speak. Marilyn?
Marilyn Appleberg, if you're back on, this would be the time to speak. If not, I'll move on to the next person who's on the list.
Maybe Monica, you can just tell us, is Marilyn's phone number the one that ends in 417?
I'm just gonna go to the next one. I don't want to be dealing
Okay.
with the technical difficulties. The next person is Adam Heyman. I believe he already has his hand raised. He can speak.
Okay, should be able to speak again.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I've resided at 105 East 10th Street for over 2 decades, along with my wife, 6 and 3-year-old, and our recent addition to our family, we have a small dog. Susan, I'm going to read something from a memorandum that you posted in 2016, which became public record. The saturation of liquor licenses has created numerous issues for residents, including those that impact the quality. Can whoever's possible to mute, Monica? Saturation of liquor licenses has created numerous issues for residents, including those that impact the quality of life, affordability of local goods and services, traffic, safety, sanitation, rodents, noise, and the loss of this community's family-oriented residential and immigrant entrepreneur character. And there has been a trend in the confines of Community Board 3 district, north of Housing Street, applicants for liquor licenses for combined 2 or 3 storefronts to create large nightlife venues not appropriate for residential neighborhoods. This space is 5,000 square feet. There are, as already mentioned, there are 17 existing liquor licenses within 500 feet of 101 East 10th Street. Similar venues with a similar alternate to a traditional bar are Barcade on St. Mark's Place, Amsterdam Billiards on East 11th Street. This applicant and his establishment provide little to no cultural benefit. They do not increase retail diversity within the neighborhood. The last thing that this neighborhood needs is an 18th bar. There are already logistical issues with the Smith in the middle of 3rd Avenue between 10th and 11th Street. We fear that there will be another situation like when there is a live venue at Webster Hall where people queue up around the corner. The fact that the venue wants to have hosted and set scheduled performance times makes it actually worse logistically for when people queue up before an event, have to show an ID or a ticket at the door, and all exit at the same time. In addition, this applicant has violated the stipulations on Delancey Street by hosting pub crawls, using third-party promoters. He's either not a hands-on operator nor not aware of what is going on within the confines of his own restaurant and bar.
All right, thank you. All right, those are the 4 against that specific item of Sugar Mouse. I will now be moving forward with the rest of the public session. There was no public session items that were in support of that item that was sent to us. I will be moving on now to Frank Paillo. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, in support of 23 Avenue A.
Good evening, Paul. Thank you. And good evening, Community Board 3. My name is Palillo. Everybody does it. I
Sorry.
represent Mike Droney, who's planning to open at 23 Avenue A. We met with the Community Board Subcommittee. This is a previously licensed premises, was a premises called Yerba Buena. We are proposing a restaurant. I'm sorry, I'm just going back to my notes. A restaurant with 11 tables and 24 seats and a 10-foot bar, a 20-foot bar. We originally asked for later hours. The subcommittee had concerns with the hours. We've since been willing to reduce our hours from 11 a.m. to midnight, from Sunday to Wednesday, Thursday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Mike Droney is an experienced operator. He's been licensed for over 6 years at 2 different locations, one of which was forced to close during COVID. He's never had a 311 call, an SLA complaint, or a neighbor complaint at any one of his locations. Additionally, this particular location, 23 Avenue A, does not fall within the moratorium, which is what it is, even though it's being called a resolution. But it does not fall within this moratorium because these premises were previously licensed, which is what that resolution specifically excludes. Since the premises was previously licensed, we're asking the community board to follow their own recommendations and approve this license. It is not subject to the moratorium. If not for COVID, that premises might still be open. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your patience. I like that big clock that's clicking in front of me. And I hope you vote on behalf of Mike Droney. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I promise to get the last name correct next time.
It's okay.
The next person I have is Michael Droney, also in support of 1023 Avenue Way.
Okay, I'm finding him. Michael, what is his last name?
Droney, Droney.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, Michael, you should be able to speak.
You can go ahead, Michael.
Is he there?
Michael, are you?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, community board members, and thank you to the residents that are here with me tonight in support of my application. My name is Michael Droney. I've over 25 years in the restaurant and hospitality industry and over 10 years as a New York City restaurant owner-operator. I've also operated well-run restaurants and I've never had a complaint in violation against myself or the restaurants that I've been a part of in all these years. At the end of the day, I think it's a salient point in regards to the application at this location, and it is this: my neighbours expect me to run a responsible and safe establishment in their neighbourhood, and that is what I do and what I intend to do if given the opportunity at this location. My restaurants are just that, restaurants, not dive bars, not nightclubs. I don't employ DJs or entertain live music. From East Houston up to 3rd Street, there are only 2 restaurants. I serve food on this block of Avenue A, on these blocks of Avenue A. The rest seem to be nightclubs or dive bars. I'm not knocking anybody's concept, and this is just an observation of the neighborhood's establishments that have liquor licenses. My proposed restaurant, I feel, would be a positive, not a negative, for the local community. People who visit my restaurants don't go out and cause a nuisance. They come in for a nice meal or an appetizer, have a beverage, and enjoy the atmosphere and friendly staff that I offer at my establishments. In closing, I understand that the community board has a moratorium on liquor licenses being issued on Avenue A, but I'm also aware that 210 Avenue A, which used to be Percy's Tavern, was approved last week for a new liquor license. But I'm not familiar with the location. I understand that the location has a history of SLA disciplinary actions against it, and it's no reflection on the current applicant, and I wish him the best of luck. But I would just like to also point out in this regard that the location that I am applying for, to my knowledge, has no history of SLA disciplinary action, nor does my personal record, as previously mentioned, as Frank Palillo did mention. I'm a responsible restaurant operator and would appreciate the same consideration based on the merits of my record as a small business owner and New York State liquor license holder. Again, thank you, committee members, for your time, and also many thanks to the residents who accompanied me here tonight for their support at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next person I see in support, we've done 2. Now, third person is Emily Mossberger. Emily Mossberger. She on?
yes. Okay, you should be allowed to speak, Emily. Emily?
Hi,
Emily,
this
you
is
on?
Emily.
There you go. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, I think that this would be a really great opportunity for the neighborhood. I'm really excited. I think that it would bring a lot of growth, and it would be nice to fill the space versus having a lot of trash. I am a neighboring resident, and to see a different demographic in on Avenue A would be fabulous versus just individuals that are homeless. So that would be nice, that it would bring a more upbeat environment.
All right, is that it?
Yes, that is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, last person I see on here as the 4th person in support will be Mihir Shanaim. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Okay, I think he can speak already.
Hey, can you hear?
Yep,
Go ahead, Ed.
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's
Yep.
here. Yeah, I recently moved to the area, and I think having another restaurant in the area would be really beneficial, as like just somewhere where you want like a quick bite to eat with some friends or just relax after like a long day of work. I think it could be a great addition to the community, and I think the owner of the restaurant seems to have good intentions for the area, and we'll treat it with respect for all the people living there. Yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you. That is the 4 I see that I've had. Those are the 4 in support. So those who also signed up also in support, and I know there's several of you. I do apologize. I will adhere to our policy of only 4 per support. So thank you all who have signed up in support. I will move on with the public session. Jessica Holt, Grow NYC, an announcement.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Right ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Holt, and I'm here speaking on behalf of my organization, Grow NYC. We're a local nonprofit organization who's been servicing New York City for many years now. And I'm here to announce that we are holding an event this Saturday, October 1st. It's a stop and swap event. For those who are unfamiliar, stop and swap events encourage people from the communities that we service to bring unwanted reusable goods that they would like to donate and bring them and drop them off with us. And these goods are then available to be taken by anyone who may want them or need them for free. And you don't need to bring anything to take something. So either you can come just to donate anything that you might have, or just to take something that you might need or want. Or to do both. We accept small portable goods that are clean and reusable. And we don't accept things like furniture or expired or open food, unsealed personal products, dirty ripped clothes, and anything that really people wouldn't want to take at the end of the day. We want people to have nice items that are, usable in their lives. So the event is happening on Saturday, October 1st from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. The location is PS 142 Amalia Castro in the schoolyard, which the address is 100 Attorney Street off of Delancey. And donations are accepted from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Although the event does go from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. for those who want to take items. And this event is funded by the Department of Sanitation. So it's a free service for New Yorkers. And we're also partnering with the Instagram account Nasty New Yorkers, who promotes zero waste and environmentalism on the Lower East Side. You can find out more information about all of our events coming up at grownyc.org/swap. And the chat's not open, but if it could possibly be open so I could provide my email address for anyone who might need it or have any questions for me, that would be great. But if not, you can email me at jholt@grownyc.org. Thank you.
Okay, you can put your information in the chat. It should be open right now.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Right, thank you, Jessica. I will now call on Jesse Kravitz. Am I saying that correctly? Mayor's Office to End Domestic and Gender-Based Violence.
Sorry, let me. Not since Jesse, what's the last name?
Kravet.
I'm not seeing any Jesse. Jesse, if you're there, could you raise your hand? Not seeing any Jesse, do you?
I'm looking through, I don't see anybody, so I'll just skip over that. Last person I have in the public session is Juan Rivera, Village Preservation announcement.
Yes, and he should be able to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good evening. I'm Juan Rivero, Director of East Village and Special Projects at Village Reservation, and I wanted to share updates on some of our recent work that might be of interest in the neighborhood. First, next Thursday at 5:30 p.m., we will be unveiling a plaque at 204-206 East 7th Street. That is the former home of Allen Ginsberg and William S. Burroughs. That will be honoring these two writers and the history of the Beat generation in the East Village. They lived at this address earlier in their career and occasionally hosted and famously photographed there Jack Kerouac, himself an icon of the movement. We'll be joined at the unveiling by poets and writers who will speak about the impact of the Beat generation and read excerpts from these authors' notable poems and novels. And you should join us if you're interested. This will be the 21st historic plaque that we'll have installed in the village. Secondly, we have been leading a campaign along with staff, doctors, and patients from the New York Ear and Eye Infirmary to stop the plan to close that facility and to save its striking building, which has been on the corner of 2nd Avenue and 13th Street for 165 years. This is the second oldest hospital in the city and the oldest specialized hospital in the hemisphere, and groundbreaking care for the vision and hearing impaired has taken place there for over 2 centuries. Our efforts to landmark the building are supported by State Senator Brad Hoylman and Assemblymember Harvey Epstein, as well as by fellow preservation groups. In response to our campaign, the LPC has said that the building, quote, may merit consideration as an individual landmark, unquote, but has yet to take any action. And lastly, we've continued to publish articles and cite documentation debunking the claim that simply producing more market rate housing brings housing prices down, and that things like zoning and landmark protections, which limit unfettered development, make prices go up. This is a critical point to remember and to consider as we deal with ever more aggressive proposals to upzone our neighborhoods, and as we search for real solutions for preserving and creating much needed affordable housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to stop my share. All right. Thank you, Jessica, for putting that information in the chat. All right, that is the end of our public session. Tonight, we will now move forward to the public official session on our elected officials. I will start with Mayor Adams' office. For 1. All right. Public Advocate Williams' office. 0 for 2. Hope Aaron Judge doesn't do that tonight. Comptroller Lander, his office. 0 for 3 is not a good night at the plate. All right. Borough President Levine's office.
I'm here.
There we go. I'm 1 for 4. All yours, 2 minutes.
I'm sorry that Mark cannot be here tonight. It's his holiday. We don't want to drag him too much of a time to attend like events. So it's me giving up reports today. Did I start my video? Okay, great. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's been a wonderful summer for us, and hope it's been a wonderful summer for all of you. So our office has been really busy, spending time with the residents across the borough at all the amazing block parties, family days, national night outs, and more. So since the beginning of summer, we distributed nearly 4,000 COVID care packages with multiple COVID test kits, high quality masks, and signature pens and more. So since the federal government program for mailing test kits has ended, we still have resources available for schools and local organizations. So if you need, please reach out to me. I'll give my contact information in the chat box later. As you all may aware, our Risk Houses residents recently had a horrible incident that their water tested positive in arsenic. Although it's reported false positive, but Mr. Borough President, along with other elected officials in the district, is demanding third-party independent testing. So we want to make sure that the residents have safe water to drink and use. In terms of executive order, the mayor issued EEO 210, which extends the emergency order in place for 30 days through October 22nd, 2022. Our understanding is that this means that the community board can remain virtual through this time, but we're also watching the monkeypox emergency order. So if extended, it could provide boards with an opportunity to remain remote beyond the 22nd. As for the asylum seekers, as many are aware, the city has seen influx of asylum seekers arriving from Texas due to the incredulous actions of Governor Craig Abbott. So New York City continually welcome asylum seekers with open arms. However, much work is needed to make sure these asylum seekers have the support they need, as hundreds of families with children are arriving daily with few possessions. So Manhattan Borough President's Office is partnering with New York Immigration Coalition to provide necessary items to these families. We are open for donations at both our downtown and uptown locations. These requests remain high for new toiletries and hygiene items such as body washes, toothbrushes, and menstrual products, new and packaged clothing, especially underwear, t-shirts, socks, and also for babies, we need diapers. So the mayor has opened an emergency asylum seeker resource navigation center downtown at the Red Cross Greater New York headquarters where families can seek. So healthcare services directly and through referral, health insurance enrollment, mental health counseling, school enrollment, and immigration legal services, among other services. We will also have a resource fair in the near future. So check our website and newsletter. The information will be out soon. As for the monkeypox, we continue to alert community on the availability of monkeypox vaccines as they come online and have been steadfast in demanding that the vaccine be distributed equitably. We also have an announcement. We have a very special event. We will celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month on Thursday, this coming Thursday, September 29th at 6 p.m. So please register in advance. The flyer information has been emailed to Susan, the district manager. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to me. That's concluded the Borough President's report. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder to all the elected official representatives, please keep your reports to 2 minutes and under. Thank you. Next person up on the list is Congress Member Velasquez's office. Is a representative on from her office? No, moving on. Congress Member Maloney's office. Is a representative on?
Yes, good evening.
Go ahead, Victor.
Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney marked National Gun Violence Prevention Day of Action by calling on her colleagues to support further gun safety legislation, including her recently introduced major piece of gun safety legislation, the Firearms Industry Fairness Act, and the Firearms Industry Crime and Trafficking Accountability Act. Both pieces of legislation stemmed from her Committee on Oversight and Reform's investigation into gun manufacturers. Quote, I've been working nonstop this Congress to pass common sense gun safety legislation. This year, I heard firsthand from the survivors of the shooting in Uvalde and from those who've lost loved ones in Buffalo. Their demands for action were deeply moving, and I have redoubled my longstanding efforts to combat the scourge of gun violence, which has claimed the lives of over 48,000 Americans this year, said Congresswoman Maloney. That is why I've introduced 8 major pieces of gun safety legislation since February 2021, including my Gun Trafficking and Crime Prevention Act, which was passed as part of the Transformational Protecting Our Kids Act. This legislation responds to the public health epidemic that gun trafficking and straw purchasers fuel, combating the iron pipeline which brings weapons into New York City, said Congresswoman Maloney. These and other issues can be found at the Congresswoman's congressional website at house.gov. Thank you.
Hey, Victor. All right, is Assembly Member News Office on? So representative?
Yep.
All right, you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm gonna keep the report short. So first, I want to address the problem with Reese water testing. Assembly member believes that we should carry out more thorough investigation to guarantee that there is actually no arsenic being found in all type of water sources across all NYCHA facilities. And we're working on finding out tests and providing tests for everyone in NYCHA. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the 9/11 Memorial Event and the benefit extension bill. the day before the anniversary of 9/11, Governor Hochul signed into law Assembly Members Bill A10416, which extends the window for first responders to apply for workers' compensation benefits due to 9/11 related illness. Wheeling stands with 9/11 survivors and advocating for resources for those who continue to develop health conditions connected to the tragedy. And next thing I want to talk about is meeting with the State Liquor Authority, SLA. We hear that everyone is having some issues regarding like liquor, concentration of liquor licensing. And many of our community board members have brought concerns regarding it to the SLA. And right now, we want to continue to ensure the community voice being heard, and we will fight to improve the quality of life for every resident in the community. And the last thing is, last week, United Jewish Council of the East Side opened the North Center in Masaryk Towers. It's a naturally occurring retirement community center that has the goal to help with retirement elderly citizens in the community. And Wheeling was there to celebrate the establishment of the center. And last bit is our office also has supplies of COVID test kits and PPE. So if anyone in the community needs resources in regards to those, please contact our office and we will set up a drop-off date with everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I understand Assemblymember Epstein is on.
I'm here, Paul.
Go right ahead.
First of all, Happy New Year to everyone who's celebrating the new year. I just want to hope that everyone's doing okay. I know it's been a troubling couple of months for everything that's going on. But, and I know Euleen's office just mentioned the water issue that we experienced in Reese houses in my district. And so, you know, there's been a lot of back and forth, and we spent, you know, countless hours working with the residents with food and water distribution. Later to call for a community meeting to learn that, you know, NYCHA said that there was a mistake in the original testing. We forced NYCHA to go back out this weekend to test the water again. Our plan is to test the soil just to make sure that the soil testing is as accurate, to make sure there's any contaminants in the soil. NYCHA agreed to give the residents $200 back for the 8 days they were without water or really being able to cook. But it shows the, you know, really substantial mismanagement of NYCHA and raises a lot of red flags for us, you know, around the role NYCHA has and the role they have, especially with the housing trust, which was allowed in the state legislature this year, even though I voted against it. I think the board's really been working with our office around Tompkins Square Park, and people know the, you know, the issues around Tompkins, not just how the cleanliness problem, but there's a whole host of issues going on, and there's really understaffing the park, and really the board and Susan's leadership are really trying to take the bull by the horns. So we're about, you know, 20 or so residents at a meeting, and thank you, Chanel, for helping lead that effort, trying to keep the park clean, but also think about how we can be responsive to what our needs are, better serve our community. We did a great shredding event a couple of weeks ago, and so that actually went really well. Did a lot of distribution for the new New Yorkers. We have a lot of people obviously coming to New York on buses from Texas, and I went to the Bellevue Men's Shelter yesterday just to meet with some of the people who are new into New York and the United States and who are from Venezuela. And so we're doing clothing, shoes, and, you know, drives for those folks. So if anyone wants to drop those off, they can drop it off in our office. We're collecting anything, and we've been working with a lot of our community leaders. Camille Napoleon from Baruch Houses has been really in the forefront of this. So if anyone wants to help and donate things, you know, folks are basically getting on a bus in New York with the clothing on their back, and that's all they have. So when they get to, you know, for men who go to the Bellevue Men's Shelter, they're given additional clothing and maybe a pair of shoes. So what else we can do to really assist folks who are new to New York and new to the United States, the more important is that we keep doing it. So, you know, we have a couple upcoming events, and that's in our newsletter, and Chanel can kind of share that with folks. But I'm really hopeful that we can really help people who are in our community and serve them. And, you we see, that obviously kids need access to school, people need housing, and we have a crisis of affordable housing. But it's something we're all apparent, and we're all working on, and I think we just need to do a much better job. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to talk about issues in their board or not, but I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. And again, reach out to my office for me if you have any questions. Paul, you're muted. So you got to say something?
This is occupational hazard. Thank you, Assemblymember. You do have two hands raised, Kay Webster and then Lee Berman. Kay, go right ahead.
Hi, Assemblyman Epstein. Thank you.
Assemblyman, I like that. You can just, Harvey's a lot easier, It's like, I did Harvey a lot longer.
I think you deserve a little respect, but yeah.
I think Harvey's a respectful way to treat me. I feel like that's respect. I also believe in, taking away power and privilege and structures in society, and taking away my title. It just humanizes me more, right?
Oh man, I love power. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about the you and Senator Kavanaugh were working on trying to codify that parks can have compost as a park's purpose, and I wanted to hear if there was any update on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so the update is we haven't got the mayor's support. So if anyone can talk to City Hall and get support from the mayor's office, that would be really, really helpful. People know the Lower East Side Ecology Center got an agreement that they could come back to the Sora Park. A couple months ago, we were pushing our legislation. It's not just about the ecology center, it's about composting in all our parks. And right now, we need to do better at composting in our city, in our state, and in our country. So one way to do that is on parkland. And so, yeah, we're going to keep moving forward with that, but we don't have any good news because we can't really get the state to do anything without the city saying that they want to do it. It's kind of this conundrum we're in. So any help anyone here, like a CB3 resolution would be really helpful. Something that supports what we're trying to do. Always very exciting to have that.
Power. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Lee Berman, go right ahead.
Hi, thanks, Paul. Hi, Harvey. Thank you
How you
very
doing,
much
Lee?
for
Happy New Year.
Hi, good. Thank you. You as well. Thank you for everything you've been doing, especially with NYCHA over the last couple of weeks. And that's what I want to address. It seems like almost every week there's a new boondoggle, a new scandal involving NYCHA. The city, the residents in public housing have been having to deal with mismanagement for generations. So how are we going to change the culture of NYCHA management so that residents can finally have, peace of mind that they will be respected and that they will have a culture where their safety comes first? You've been dealing with this for decades as well. Those who have been in NYCHA have had to put up with this kind of scandal and just craziness for so long. What can we do on the state level and maybe even the federal level to help once and for all?
Lee, I think that's really true. And I think the people who, talk about, when we talk, Kay just talked about power, and the people who should have power in public housing are the people who live there. So we talked about like resident management companies, like letting residents manage their own property. They hire local people, they manage the property themselves, they get the repairs done. So there's a lot of conversations, and we've been pushing that around resident management companies, especially some of the smaller developments. Moving away from, like this external structure of like people coming in to work in NYCHA who don't really understand the development, don't really care for those people in the community. And then having a resource local commitment, like instead of having resources that go back to NYCHA and the citywide abyss of NYCHA for all the 400,000 units, that we tailor resources to developments and not just money that we can allocate, but money that can be allocated within our community. Because like an example is I gave LES2, I allocated in 2018, $500,000 for cameras. So in 2018, I gave money for cameras because they didn't have cameras. Here we are in 2022, and they're just scoping the work for the cameras. It's like 4 years later, people need, they wanted cameras. I gave money, gave $500,000 for cameras, covering the cost of the cameras. Here we are 4 years later, there are no cameras and there's no scoping done. I know that the people who live in LES2, if they were told, hey, we need to scope the work for the cameras, let's figure out where the cameras go because we have $500,000. We can, we can put 50 cameras in for $500,000, tell us the 50 locations. I really believe that the residents in LES2 could do it quicker than 4 years. And I believe that the residents in every public housing development in the city could do a much better job than NYCHA does, because if there's a problem, they can manage it. If there's issues, the residents will come back. We've seen change in leadership in NYCHA developments because someone says that if the TA is not doing a good job, we're going to bring new TA in. I think residents can really drive this conversation. And I think we need to push harder to move in that direction.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. All right. Thank you, Assembly Member. I don't see
Thank
any
you
other
all,
hands up.
and thanks all for being here. Chanel will be on if you have it. Oh, wait, I don't know if that should pick that question up or.
Who is
or just-
Roy Ruiz?
He's Deborah's rep.
Oh, okay. Give me 1 second then.
All right, then I'm out. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Roy Ruiz, I apologize. Assembly Member Glick's office, go right ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Roy Ruiz. I'm the new community liaison for Assembly Member Glick. Many of you might have been familiar with Charlie Anderson, who was my predecessor. And I took over his place last month, and I have been acquainting myself with the community and all the issues. I will be reading some of the points from the report that I am also sharing a link to, so you could see other points that I don't touch on. The first one is a discussion that we're having on protecting democracy as a part of Cooper Union's Voices of Democracy series. We will be speaking with Maya Wiley, who is the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, Liz Winstead, who is the founder and chief creative officer of Abortion Access Front. And we will just be discussing things such as voter suppression, threats to election integrity, attacks on personal freedom, such and such. That would be on Monday, October 3rd, on 6:30 to 8:30 at Cooper Union's Great Hall. And there is a link to register at cooper.edu/protectingdemocracy. Another event we're having is the Shred event on October 20th from 1 to 4, which will be at 25 University Place between 8th and 9th Street. So if you have any papers that you need to shred, especially like important papers, bank statements, medical information, you can bring it to that event and shred it. We will have volunteers from the Red Cross who can help sign people up to get a free smoke alarm, and volunteers from Cooper Square, committee staff who will be providing other information. Just in case you meet anyone experiencing homelessness, you can refer them to a new place that the Department of Social Services opened in conjunction with the Center for Urban and Community Services. It's called Paul's Place. It's in 112 West 14th Street, and it's a drop-in center. It can help up to 75 individuals. It can house 24. It has 24 beds for individuals who are waiting to be connected to permanent housing. There are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week services there, from ranging from showers to laundry to medical services and social services. And
Mr. Ruiz, I believe you have a hand up. Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we actually have drop-in centers right in CB3 also, and we possibly weren't aware, but we have outreach that is for, I think, 23rd Street down. So if people, Goddard Riverside has the city contract for this area, and they're extremely, extremely good.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Mr. Ruiz, the rest of the information you're about to share in your report?
Yes, it is. And you can access it on the link that I left. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you. So next person on my list is State Senator Kavanaugh's office.
Pat.
Somebody here.
Pat Owen.
Pat,
Hi.
go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. I hope everybody's friends and families are all well and safe. So since April and throughout the summer, we tabled about 21 NYCHA family days and three community events. We distributed hundreds of trilingual OEM materials along with our office information, and also almost 4,000 COVID test kits. We have COVID test kits in the office. If anyone needs COVID test kits, please let me know and we'll make arrangements to bring you COVID test kits. I look forward to attending the upcoming NYCHA Resident Association meetings along with all of our other Section 8 private housing tenant association meetings to help assist in their issues. NYCHA is going to be rolling out a new work order system on October 3rd. Apparently NYCHA is bringing back skilled workers to the community. So let's see how that goes. I'm a NYCHA resident, so I sincerely do agree with Assembly members' Epstein's statements and views on NYCHA. They can improve a lot. Also, we have been working with Chinatown DRI and local planning committee. We recommended finalists of projects for funding at the end of the summer for DRI funding. Our office attended all of the meetings and public sessions, and we worked with state agencies and several organizations to help facilitate the process. Next step is for the state to decide on the final state projects and enter into contracts for each project. So we expect that to happen sometime during the fall or the winter at the latest. And we'll continue to stay engaged and as all the projects move forward. Questions?
You have 2 hands, Susan and then Kay. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, I have a feeling we're both speaking on the same thing. So the community board has been left out of this process. And I don't understand how you could have any land use actions without the community board, because that's our charter mandate. You know, we were informed at the beginning, this is what the process is. And that's the end of it. We're not included in anything, but the community board is supposed to be the vehicle for residents to be able to have their voice heard. So I'm wondering about that process.
Oh, I did not know about that because I was not involved in the Chinatown process, but I will find out and I will bring you more information. Okay.
Thank you.
Kay Webster, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, similar, Pat. Hi, how are you? Not only the community board, but also no one in that neighborhood, and we did a day of tabling, heard anything about one of the projects, at least that we have heard vaguely was planned for that area. So the local neighborhood, parts of the neighborhood hadn't heard anything, and neither did the council member, I believe, initially. So it just seems like it was great to get the funding. We think a lot of those projects are great. Most of the neighborhood doesn't like the project that's being, that was anyway, touted for Sarah Roosevelt Park. So be eager to see what comes of it. And yes, eager to have it brought before the community board where the public can weigh in.
Okay, those are the projects that were proposed for SDR Park, right?
There's
all of them, all of them.
All of them.
Well, yes, but in actually going out and asking people, they didn't know anything about this. And that just strikes me as beyond arrogant. But also just leaving out the community board, leaving out the council member, leaving out, I mean, anyway, we'll find out what gets settled on, and then we'll see what happens.
I will find out. I will find out.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay. Mhm.
Thank you, Ken. All right. Thank you, Patricia. Next, State Senator Hoylman, 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Hi, Paul. It's Sam from State Senator Brad Hoylman's office, in for Caroline, who's away this week. I just put a link to our report in the chat, and so I'll just keep it short and give a couple updates. Last week, the senator introduced an amended bill, Access to Representation Act, to ensure the state provides legal counsel for all New Yorkers facing deportation, whether they recently arrived in the state or have been in New York for decades. This would be the first in the nation act to create a state right to a lawyer for people facing deportations, for folks that can't afford representation. This is more important now than ever with the political plays we've been seeing from Florida and Texas sending migrants up to New York. And we're about to have an immigration crisis in New York, and we're hoping that this bill will help mitigate that and help people access lawyers to protect their rights. Additionally, as we've heard a couple times from other speakers, the situation at Jacob Rees Houses at NYCHA has been really disappointing and troublesome. With Assemblymember Epstein, as we've been working together at many of the meetings with NYCHA, we came together and authored a bill to guarantee public housing residents access to food and water during such disruptions. We saw that 4,000 residents could not cook their own meals for over a week, leaving them to pay more out of pocket and depending on charity. We're happy that we got $200 for all of the residents to cover that, but we have this bill to institutionalize it for future incidents and make sure that this doesn't happen again. I hit my 2 minutes. You guys can read more about all the other things we've been working on in our report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. All right, next person up is Councilmember Mark Tay's office, 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. Earlier this month, our office held a hearing on Intro 175, a bill that would end the 24-hour workday for home attendants and split the 24-hour shift into split shifts. The hearing lasted 8 hours, one of the longest of this council session, with dozens of testimonies from home attendants, neighbors, patients, doctors about why we would need to split the 24-hour workdays into 2 12-hour shifts. In terms of next steps, we are working on a few small amendments and are looking forward to getting more co-sponsors and hopefully intend to pass this bill by the end of the year. To learn more about the bill, please visit aintiwoman.org. I will link the report and the link after I finish speaking. Over the summer, our office has attended many family days hosted by our NYCHA TAs and other summer celebrations and block parties hosted by local organizations like Henry Street Settlement and University Settlement. Thank you to everyone who helped make them such a success. The council member also recently toured PS 124 right here in Chinatown, and we saw what changes needed to be made to the playground. We have already allocated enough capital funds to remove equipment that's been there since the 1980s, and we'll also be working on developing a full proposal to complete renovations in the coming fiscal year. So an exciting internal change. We have a new budget director for the office. Bernice can be reached at through her council email, which I will also share for any budget inquiries. And in terms of participatory budgeting, the council member is once again using participatory budgeting to allow you to submit ideas and vote on how to spend $1 million in capital funding within our district. You can help decide by proposing and voting on projects like improvements to schools, parks, libraries, public housing, and other public spaces. Through a public vote, residents then decide which proposals to fund. Last year, we funded new science carts at PS 124, new student common rooms at Lower Manhattan Community Middle School, and library upgrades at PS 42. The deadline to submit your ideas is at the end of October, so please share the link and submit your ideas. I will share with you all the report right now.
Thank you. All right. All right, Julio, now it's your time to shine. Oh, Damaris, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to ask Jennifer a question about participatory budgeting and if they are working with the Task Force for Racial Inclusion and Equity and the Racial Justice Commission on the citywide participatory budgeting process that will feature about 32 different neighborhoods, including the Lower East Side. And we're going to be working on getting ideas out there and idea generation. So I just wonder if your office is aware and working on that issue in any way.
I would need to ask the budget director and then get back to you on that. But I can also connect you both over email as well.
All right, it's more curiosity on our part. We're an anchor for TREE, and so we'll be doing the idea generation. And if there is already going to be another effort, it would seem prudent for us to figure out maybe how to support one another in that process. So please, you can find me at damaris@goals.org. I'll put my email in the chat. I'm sure your office has it anyhow. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sure, give me 1 second. Susan, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is about the participatory budgeting. So we meaning the network of DMs in the city have actually spoken to city engagement because there are so many different participatory budget initiatives that are all totally separate that we did say people are going to be very confused. The mayor has his own now. Civic engagement has their own, which involves certain neighborhoods. And then each council person has their own. They're all different money and they're all different pots and probably even different goals. And it is extremely confusing. And I just want to mention the difference between all the participatory budgeting and the budget priorities that the community board looks at is that the participatory are always about a separate pot of money to spend in a certain way, as in the community board next month, we'll be voting on budgets within agencies, how we want agencies to spend money in our district. So I just think the number of different budget initiatives is very confusing. So I wanted to mention that. The end.
All right, final. Okay. Thank you. So who is on from Councilmember Rivera's office? I saw Julio and I see Isabel. Who's doing the report?
So Julio will be presenting on behalf of Councilmember Rivera. I just wanted to say I'm really excited to pass along the incredible role of CB3 liaison to Julio on our team, and just thank you all so much for your partnership and your support. It's been really an honor to represent the councilman on the board, but I'll turn it over to Julio.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julio Vivas. I am going to be the new CB3 liaison. I'm super excited to get to know everyone. And hopefully we can have a great relationship, which I'm sure Isabel had. First and foremost, I just want to thank Community Board 3 for really leading the co-naming with Adela Vargas. We really couldn't do this without you. And we wanted to just let you know that we really appreciate your leadership on this. And I hope everybody who did attend enjoyed the event. We also had a lot of family days this summer. We were excited to see everyone who could participate. And we gave out a bunch of backpacks to kids, so that's really cool. I just want to say a couple of things. I'll make this short. Council, under the leadership of Councilmember Carolina Rivera, we passed historic abortion rate that solidifies and expands abortion access in New York City. We're also working on, Councilmember is also supporting a package which will extend access to compost and recycling services, including a bill to establish community recycling centers in every community district. In terms of what our office is doing in the district, we are partnering with ACE. We're really excited about this. This is a training and employment organization that employs homeless and formerly homeless to get good jobs to improve our neighborhoods. They'll be working in Tompkins Square Park to add some cleaning on the sidewalk and removal on the weekend. I also wanted to highlight a couple of events that we're having. There is going to be a 3rd Street party by the, by the 3rd Street Music School this Saturday, which is really exciting. So it's gonna be from 11 to 4 on East 11th Street on 2nd and 3rd Avenue. And then we're also having a toy drive for those who are interested. We are collecting lately used toys. These toys will be given to asylum seekers, and they'll be from October 11th to the 14th. I will be posting a report and you guys can all have access to that. And that's it. Thank you.
Susan, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Sorry, a lot of things to say tonight. Julio, and the ACE workers, I think this is like almost a workforce development type of job for them. And sanitation department is really, really looking for workers and if, to hire new people. And if there's a way that these workers could be, have a pathway to being hired in sanitation, I think that would benefit everybody if it's something your office could look into.
Absolutely, I could definitely look into this and I'll get back to you. And then just one quick clarification. I'll be point for any CB3 issues, and Isabel is still in our office, just as our legislative director. All right. And then if you guys have any questions, please look at the board reports and my emails on the chat as well.
Thank you, Julio. Appreciate it. And congratulations, Isabel, on your promotion. I know we will still continue working together. All right. Next up is the district attorney's office on.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Paul.
2 minutes.
Okay, I'll be very short. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic violence affects millions of people in the United States each year and may include physical violence, sexual violence, psychological abuse, or stalking. Our office provides presentations on domestic violence at no cost to schools and organizations throughout Manhattan. We also provide recommendations on steps to take if you, a family member or a friend, is a victim or survivor of domestic violence in New York City. If you are interested, please fill out an online form or contact me directly. I will put the link in the chat as well as my contact information. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that will do it for our elected official reports. So we'll move on next to the approval of minutes for June 2022. Kenyelle, it is time for roll call. It is your time to shine. Go right ahead.
All right, I'm ready. David Adams.
He's
David
absent.
Adams.
He's absent.
Yaron Altman. Absent. Sarah Rose Baju.
Yes.
Yes. Lee Berman.
Yes.
Ana Calderon,
Here.
Carlin Chan,
Yes. Yes. Yemi?
David Crane,
Here.
Eric Diaz,
He's absent.
Tariq Darrell,
Yes.
Alistar,
Yes.
Jamie Felber, Jamie,
Yes.
yes. Larry Finn,
Here. Here.
Shirley Fennessy,
Yes, here.
Catherine Freed,
Present.
Ryan Gillum,
Yes.
Deborah Glass,
Present.
Jake Gold,
Yes.
Andrea Godirio,
Yes.
Kenya Hernandez, yes. Herman Hewitt,
Present.
Trevor Holland,
Present.
Valentina Jones,
Present.
Olympia Kazi,
Present.
Jeanette Kim,
Here.
great. Michelle Cooper Smith,
Present.
Mei Lee,
Here.
Wendy Lee,
Here.
Alicia, right here. Amanda Lou,
Here.
David Louis, absent. Laura Lugo,
Here.
Paul Rangel,
Yes.
Damaris Reyes,
Yes, here.
Richard,
Yes.
Thomas, Rosa,
Here.
Robin,
Here.
Robin,
Chattel. Here.
Natal, thank you. Heidi Schmidt, Arnett Scott,
Present.
Larissa Scheinberg,
She's absent.
Sandra Strutter,
Yes, present.
Daniel Tao,
You skipped Anisha, didn't you?
Yeah.
I did skip Anisha, I'm sorry, Anisha,
Yes.
Sandra, yes, Daniel,
Present.
Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Rodney Washington,
Yes.
You skip
Josiah,
Troy. Skip Troy.
oh,
Go back
I'm
to Troy.
sorry, Troy Velez,
Present.
Josiah Orderman,
Here.
Kathleen Webster,
Present.
Jackie Wan,
Here.
July Yang,
Here.
okay,
Thank you, Kenya.
what was that?
It's
Thank you,
fine. Better call out last names on everybody, right?
I'm
And,
working on that, sorry, guys.
Okay,
Thank
it's all
you.
right. Thank you, everyone. So good evening, everyone. Just for my report this evening, I'm just gonna start with the nominating committee. I asked our first vice chair, who's not on tonight, Eric Diaz, to put together the nominating committee for the elections coming up in November. Want to thank everybody who's agreed to be a part of this nominating committee: Alicia Lewis Coleman, Larry Fenn, Josephine Velez, Rodney Washington, and Laura Lugo. Thank you. I believe Eric will be eventually in contact on setting up the first meeting. and getting everybody squared away for next month and for the presentation of nominations. After that, I just want to talk about the executive order. So late last week, actually right before our executive committee meeting, we did receive an email that the mayor's executive order was extended again, which means the committee meetings next month will be on Zoom and not face-to-face. The committee meetings, executive committee and full board right now will be face-to-face for next month of October, unless we hear something different again. That is where we stand. It ends in October 22nd as the mayor's executive order. I do understand that the governor does not intend on signing any more executive orders going forward. I do want to apologize. It's 7:48 and that public official reports system takes way too long. I do want to continue to cut it down and figure out a way without being disrespectful of our elected officials or their staffs that come in. I am trying to find ways to make it a little bit more manageable, trying to keep reports pertinent to the district, all questions pertinent to the district, anything of that sort. So I just want to say we will continue to work on that to make that a little bit easier and a little bit more efficient. So that way we're not going 40, 45 an hour on elected official reports in public session. Excuse me. That is all I have right now. I believe Valentina has her hand up. Go ahead, Valentina.
Yeah, just in terms of, I think what I heard was that the next full board meeting is going to be in person.
Correct.
Okay. I had sent a letter to the governor on May 27th and referenced the World Health Organization saying that ventilation is the process of bringing fresh outdoor air inside and letting indoor air outside. So my question is, if we're going indoors, are we going someplace that's ventilated according to the World Health Organization?
We're going to do our best to get to the best place possible. That's all I can guarantee. Will we probably end up at PS20 again? Most likely. I'll be honest about that. But we'll do our best in finding places that are suitable for meetings. We will do everything in our power to try to get the best places, knowing that that may not necessarily always end up becoming the case. And I understand your argument, Valentina.
Yeah, not my argument, World Health Organization. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there's any other questions for me. So like I said, I do want to keep the public official reports to a little bit more of a minimum to make things a little bit more efficient. So that way people don't feel like they're dragging themselves on this meeting for an hour and a half. Even if we do go back to face-to-face, that does have to be a little bit more efficient of a session. All right. That being said, I'll move over to the district manager's report. Susan, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. We had a good conflict of interest training, I think it was about a week ago. I think about half the board attended, and it was all focused on community boards. It is posted on our website, both under our video archive and under member resources for training videos. So, I want to refer people who weren't able to attend to see that. We have another really good training coming up. It's going to be part of the Land Use Committee in October, and it's Zoning 101. And I want to recommend this for all members. We all vote on ULURPs and land use transactions. So I think it's one of the major mandates of the board. So I want to recommend that training. It's going to be given by city planning. So it's from the people, and you can ask questions of the people who actually make the decisions. Regarding budget consultations and budget priorities, we just had in September 3 full days of consultations with about 12 different agencies. Some of the committee chairs or vice chairs were able to attend. We have all the agendas and most of the agencies' written responses on our website. It's under member resources. And I'm hoping chairs and committee members will review these agendas and answers before their committee meetings, at least review the ones appropriate for them. Regarding Reese, one thing that has not been mentioned was the Lower East Side Ready response. Damaris is one of the co-chairs, and Io was, Harrington was very involved. So I didn't realize actually that Lower East Side Ready is officially contacted by the city in these emergencies, and they did come out and were helping doing almost all the distribution. And they reached out to their volunteer list. So I wanted to acknowledge their work. There were 3 city agencies that were involved in giving out water. And then I know some of the nonprofits gave out food in addition. We had, Harvey had mentioned the meeting from residents in Tompkins Square Park, the community board, several of us were also there. And we particularly brought Kay Webster there, who is both member of the Parks Committee, but also as president of SDR Coalition, was able to connect with them to be able to help them form their group. It's always has more weight and it's much easier to work with an organized group. So the council member's office was there, Community Board 3 was also there. And because of all the issues in Tompkins Square Park, yesterday we convened a meeting of the service providers in the park to just all get together in one room and find out who's doing what and what the needs are. It was somewhat productive, but I did learn a lot. There's even more providers than I had realized involved there. And that's my report, unless there's any questions. Richard has a question.
Go ahead, Richard.
The Department of Transportation, I'm guessing it's DOT, is repaving streets.
Yep.
So the first step is to scrape it.
Yep.
And eventually sometime later to come back and recover it.
Right.
If you look at an example would be 7th Street between First Avenue and Avenue A. There are street sheds in the street.
Yep.
Guess what? They don't move, the street doesn't get repaved. And I'm curious as to what the community board wants to say about that. And I'm curious what the city agencies are saying about that. They're doing a half-assed job, in other words.
I didn't quite put it that way, but I've had many conversations about this, particularly pointing out 7th Street. They did it actually last year on Avenue B and Avenue C. So we were prepared for them to do it again when we knew that they were going to be doing, I think it's 3rd through 7th Street. And actually this came up in the budget consultations too. So they said if they didn't pave these streets, they wouldn't have a milling and paving program. So in other words, it's, they wouldn't be able to check off the box of what they're supposed to do. They ask the restaurants to move the sheds. The restaurants don't move the sheds and nothing happens. So what the city's plan is to come back at another time. And I forget, they were planning to come back again. I forget why, but they plan to be doing the sides at that later time. I 100% agree with what you're saying. I've had this conversation many, many times with the borough commissioner directly, and they're just not going to do anything. It's frustrating. All I can tell you is that it's frustrating. It has not been not noticed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, and for the colorful language. All right.
Sorry about
Catherine.
that.
It's all right. Catherine Freed, go right ahead.
Yeah, just very quickly. On that zoning 101, do you have the date on that?
I should have, and I'm sorry I don't, but the agenda will be posted and sent to you tomorrow, and it'll be on there tomorrow. It's the Land Use Committee.
Okay.
Unless Anisha remembers the date. Then I want to put her on the spot. You will have it tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine. All right, Susan's anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move over to my report for the executive committee. So we met Thursday night, as many of you know. Executive committee has started to meet face-to-face again in preparation for whatever face-to-face meetings we'll have going in the future. So executive has been meeting face-to-face past couple months. It's good seeing everybody again, and I know we've had a nice restful month of August, busy but still restful. As part of the bylaws changes, we did change up the structure of primary and secondary committees. My resolution at the executive committee was putting the first set of secondary committees together. This is the first of many changes. In the resolution, it does say, hold on, let me just pull up my information, that the landmarks, economic development, and arts and culture will not be moved to the secondary committee title. That vote will come up at the end. I will take any questions, but those will be the first sets of committees that will move under the secondary committee umbrella. And whatever other potential committees that will get put in as a secondary committee can be recommended to me at some point, and I will start taking a look at them. And to all the committee members that were on now, what would be eventually the secondary committees that need to be on primary committees, I've received their emails or calls or texts, and I will appoint you to the primary committees, hopefully before the first committee meetings in October. If there are no questions, I will move on to the land use report. Okay, I don't see any hands. Land use, Nisha, please.
We met this month, but we didn't have any resolutions. We heard an informational update about 70 Mulberry from DDC. They will continue to provide information to us as their process evolves. As Susan mentioned, next month we're having land use training. So I encourage anybody who would like to go through that with the land use committee to attend the meeting. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Anisha. Transportation, David Gray.
Yeah, so are there any questions on the motions that we have? We have I have them in front of me and now I don't. But there's one that's long and lengthy about Baxter Street. It's important that we, I think that we pass that. And there's one about well, shit. Questions?
Doesn't seem like there's any, David. Oh, we got a hand. Carlin Chan, go right ahead.
Yeah, is this coming, October's Transportation Committee in person?
I'll answer that one. All committee meetings in October will be on Zoom. The executive and full board will be face-to-face as of right now. Olympia, go right ahead.
Hi, Paul. Basically, I didn't make on time to raise my hand about the 70 Mulberry. So when you finish with the DOT, if you can go back to that because you went very fast.
Sorry about that. I tend to be fast. David, I don't think there's anything else for you.
Great.
Olympia, go ahead, ask your question for 70 Mulberry. Anisha, just so you know.
Thank you. It's not for Anissa, basically. It's more for Susan or somebody else, just because today is indeed, as I had mentioned a few weeks ago, I will be stepping down. So tonight is my last meeting. And at the meeting of land use, I was one of the few older members of the committee who remember the beginning of that process. And a few local residents showed up and they raised some questions that we weren't sure of the answer. So I just wanted to flag them for Susan or anyone who is involved with that local stewardship group. Mainly, they had 3 questions that I think are worthy of getting them answers. One was currently 70 Mulberry apparently is not maxing their zoning, and some local people were like, we really need as much space as we can. And the DDC said the issue is we don't have the money. So maybe local electeds could give them more money, but we didn't know the answer to that. And then the second thing was problems with traffic, because they have right now actually 2 major construction sites going contemporarily. And we didn't know, like the city couldn't answer whether there is going to be ongoing engagement with the local stewardship group. So CB3 may end up being the only ongoing information point for the locals who are impacted severely. And I mean, Anisha doesn't have the answers, but I just wanted in the record, and maybe Susan has the answers already.
Nope.
There we go. Okay, thank you, Olympia, for flagging that. I also want to say thank you for your years of service to the community board. I know tonight is your last meeting. I appreciate your service. I appreciate our conversations over the past couple of years, and best of luck to you and your family. Thank you. Next I have is Parks. Trevor, go right ahead.
Just one resolution for the reconstruction of the Hamilton Fish Center. Just a note for next month, the Brooklyn Montgomery Coastal Resiliency Plan, which is also known as BMCR, will come before the committee since construction will start this fall on that flood protection system. And any questions?
Are there any questions for Trevor? Trevor, I think you're good. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Human Services, May.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Tonight we have the Human Services Committee has 2 resolutions for you to consider. They're on page 5 of your vote sheet. The first one is to support DDC renovating the 3rd Street Women's Shelter that's run by Henry Street Settlement. It's on East 3rd Street between C and D, and they are planning to do renovations to make it more ADA accessible and to improve their safety and generally make it a better and healthier facility. So DDC came to us, gave a presentation, and we're asking to vote to approve it as you see it on the vote sheet. This is something that they always have to do, even though these renovations are necessary. They have to go to the design commission, and they're required to get community board approval before they go to design commission. The second one is to request extension of the reservation Essex Crossing for the school. The reservation currently expires in 2023. That's next year. And so we're asking for an extension of 5 years. We did have a little preliminary talk with HPD, who is in charge of the site, and they tell us they're willing to consider it, and there's nothing else being considered for the site at this time. Any questions?
Any questions for me? All right, thank you, May. All right, Michelle, you're up, SLA.
Thanks, Paul. Just bear with me because we actually had a lot of resolutions because we met in August and in September. So in August, we denied 2 applications, and in September, we denied 1 application. As you know, whenever we deny an application, we have it kind of on our list to track it through the SLA process so that we can give testimony if they decide to pursue at the full, at the state level, rather than dropping out. And then in August, one of the applicants did not sign stipulation. So for those of you who are newer here, I will always then ask for a friendly amendment to change the resolution to a flat out denial to reflect that they did not agree to the stipulations that we laid out for them. So in this case from August, it's number 10, 9193 Baxter Street. So I would offer to change that, a friendly amendment to change that resolution to a flat out denial, and we always change it to we are denying because the applicant did not sign the stipulations that were crafted by the committee. So is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any objections to this friendly amendment?
I
Okay,
don't
great.
see any objections. You're good.
Thank you, Paul. And then I have a second friendly amendment to this month's number 5, 7882 East 4th Street. Basically, it was just a sort of a misrepresentation in the language for a stipulation that the committee agreed to. It's number 3. It reads, it was basically intended to say that the first floor of this establishment, they cannot seat anyone there that is not a ticket holder. It's a theater downstairs after 1 a.m. But the way it reads right now is a little confusing. So I just wanted to add the clause, after 1 a.m. it will only use the first floor as a waiting area for ticket holders. Add no other patrons who may be seated until 2:30 a.m. I can put that in the chat just so you all understand. Like I said, this was all discussed during the committee meeting. I think the language itself, we didn't catch during the meeting, was a little bit confusing. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any objections to that amendment?
I don't see any objections.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I believe you do have a question though.
Yep. Robin, go ahead.
Hi, I am concerned about resolution number 38. I was listening to the people today on today's public session, talking about the issues and concerns about it. And then
Sorry, which one are you talking about? What, we don't have a number 38.
The Sugar Mouse.
It looks like Ed renumbered everything.
Oh, okay, sorry. So it's SLA number 6. Go ahead, sorry.
I have a procedural question, and my procedural question would be, can I put a motion through to ask the SLA committee to bring this back to their committee meeting and work on this or rethink it? Oh, that's a question, David, I guess.
Well, yes, you can. It is called to refer to committee. It is debatable, and I would debate at that point.
Okay, so I would like to ask that.
Could I speak to that beforehand?
If it is about the time constraint, that was what I was going to debate. It's ill-advised, Robin, is the point. We will lose the opportunity to say anything if we do that.
I don't understand.
The SLA has a clock, and we cannot wait a month, or we get no opportunity to provide any input. So we have to decide SLA things tonight. We could do what you're suggesting. What it does is it prevents us from having any input, period.
I don't really understand that. So how?
It's a law, so you know what? It's
if I could explain it.
Susan, go ahead.
So the SLA rules say that the applicant sends the community board a 30-day notice. After that 30-day notice, they can apply to the SLA. So we immediately put it on our agenda, and we hear it within that 30 days and send a resolution. Now, there are times when it does come back to committee, but that's only when the applicant says, I will withdraw and come back, and I won't go to the SLA before coming back to the committee. There have been times, I remember one for Bowery Hotel, when a board member insisted on carrying it over, and they got their license without any stipulations from us.
Sure. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then I mean, it appears I'm only concerned about the community and what we heard tonight from the community. I'm concerned that in the resolution itself, it talks about the hundreds of people who wrote in against this bar opening, and then it also appears that perhaps in the haste to get this on this and to the full board and to the committee, that sections of this were cut and pasted from perhaps the restaurant itself, because I found a couple of sort of typo errors in here that don't make sense to me. And it also looks like item number 4, for examples, refers to my entrance door will close at 10 p.m., which sounds like it was written by the
Can I interrupt you, Robin? That's how our stipulations are always phrased. It's an agreement.
Well, I guess I read this one really closely because there's a couple of other things. Like, it looks like in your resolution, you're saying that we'll give you this liquor license under the stipulations that you have live music 7 days, performances 7 days a week. So you're taking their language and giving them.
I'm sorry, I don't really like you impeaching the work of the committee. We do a lot of hard work on this, and this is written by us. I don't really like the accusation of, I think, plagiarism or stealing stuff from the applicant themselves. That is incorrect. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, well, that's great. Thanks for clarifying about that. But so the language is confusing, and on the last couple of years on this committee, we've passed a lot of liquor licenses that the community has fought against. And I guess my question is, why are we as a community board agreeing to give a liquor license to a location that never had one? If that is one of the rules that we put a moratorium, that you've had to have a previous liquor license in a location, then why are we allowing for a liquor license in a location that didn't exist? That's something
Is that the question?
That's
Who wants
one
to answer it.
The second question is,
Does somebody answer your first question, and then we'll get to your second question?
Sure.
Okay, so if you're referring to the guidance that we passed last year, it's specifically about oversaturated areas such as Avenue A and the upper Lower East Side. 3rd Avenue, where this application is a fully commercial area. In fact, it's a basement. That is why we are okay with it. It's a good operator who has operated on Delancey Street without problems, and then effectively the same manner as we're proposing here. There are no complaints known to the office, and many of the residents that actually live above the proposed location signed a petition in favor of it. There are considerations to be made besides just that people organize against it. And we, as you heard during public session, they are against a bar, just, on any premise of a bar. And that's not a legitimate reason to deny an application. And this is not just a bar. This is like an entertainment place and it opens early because the operator wants to, has kids come there after school, for example. They have community events. So it's not just like a, big bar on a residential street that is going to be open, at all hours. It's sort of like a different type of operation. And so we considered all of those things at the committee meeting. And I guess I'll repeat what I often say, which is that we take a lot of time to consider these things, and we do a ton of research ahead of time, and we debate this at the committee in great detail. And so the committee is always the best place to talk about this. And if there are any other committee members who want to chime in there, take your time.
Any other committee members want to speak to this specific question? SLA committee members.
2 hands up.
I have things to say, but I forget what the specific question was. I mean, this one is
about licensing and unlicensed space, and how the guidance that we passed was specifically about oversaturated residential corridors.
Right. This is a commercial strip, and the SLA will grant a license. I mean, that was the perspective I brought. I mean, you probably can ascertain that you've been watching me for a couple of years too. If there's any possibility that we can stop a license, that is the motion that I'm going to vote for.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be.
In this case, we'll never stop this license. They're going to get it. So if we just send up please don't issue a license, then they will get 4 a.m. closing. This way we can put some restrictions on it by saying that we would approve it if they agree to these stipulations. And so if we do something like say, please, SLA, do not, remember, this is just advice. So if we say to the SLA, our advice is do not issue a license, the SLA cannot do that. They are bound by case law to issue this license. So it is in everyone's best interest that we apply stipulations to it.
Right.
And the SLA generally does pick those up.
Yeah, I know we've had that. This is an ongoing, problem, right, with how the SLA issues their licenses. And that's one of the reasons why our neighborhood is so saturated with bars. But I think there's so many concerns here about this particular place. And then I did really, read very closely the whereases and the therefores. And I don't, I don't, if I would love you to explain then what those what you changed, Michelle, because it's open till 2 a.m., it's open to 1 a.m. and according to all the resolves, they can have live entertainment 7 days a week. So those are the things that people seem to, so I'm curious what the compromise is on this particular one, since we heard so much about it tonight.
I believe the compromise is probably the stipulations that they've put in as opposed to no stipulations at all. I believe that's where the compromise lies.
Yeah, 2 a.m. is a compromise. Otherwise, it would be 4 a.m. I did ask for it to be midnight, or I seconded a motion to make it midnight, and that did not pass at committee. I mean, that would be a pretty early license.
And I just like to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Amanda. In the interest of time, I do want to start moving this along, please.
Yeah, I just want to quickly add that the operator did reach out to community members ahead of time, and after hearing feedback from local community members, changed the entrance location from 10th Street to 3rd Avenue, which is the commercially zoned area. So that is, I think, part of some of the acts of good faith that we've been seeing on behalf of the operator.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Trevor, you have your hand up.
Just two things, and maybe David can answer this. Are we still debating on whether this should go back to committee?
No, there was never a motion
that didn't get moved, correct?
Okay, so if that doesn't move, I just want to recommend one thing, because I mean, many of us have been on the board for quite some time, and we're about to move into in-person meetings, and we kind of hear this same thing every month. That number one, perhaps we offer some SLA training. I know we have land use and we did COI. I think it's critical that folks understand how SLA works. And if we can offer that training, I think it'd be useful. And to understand that the work does go in the committee. All of us are a part of a committee, and we know there's long discussions that go on for quite some time. And we really don't want to start discussing things that we discuss in committee at full board. So for future reference, if you have or you see an issue you might be interested in, or you think it's something you might want to have an opinion on, there is, I do believe these are on YouTube video, correct, Paul?
Yes.
Or you can go to sign on and watch the meeting themselves. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And Trevor, to answer your first question about the SLA training, that is something we are working on soon. That is part of the trainings we are looking to put together, and that is one of them. I'll take these are the final two hands I'll take on this subject. Val and then Olympia, and that's it.
Yeah, I think one of the things, I guess, to understand is I went back and looked at the reso, and in terms of stipulations, there's several of them, like no long lines outside the building or something. And so that's kind of a stipulation. I think it might be one about no party buses. And those are the kind of stipulations that would not be gotten if the community board had no say. So I think when people were saying, if you took it back, you have no say. So then they could do party buses, they could have a line around the corner, et cetera. So I think one of the things that happens, especially in this kind of session, is that I know I wasn't looking at the resolution at the time, but I think if you look at the resolution and you look at the stipulations and think about the fact that there would be no stipulations, they could do party buses, party crawls, lines around the corner, et cetera, if the community board didn't have, didn't write some type of resolution. If it went back and the community board said nothing, I doubt these people would put this as things that they would do. So anyway, that would be one way, is just look at the stipulations and just think that if the community board did not say anything, those stipulations might not be there. Just look at like the last ones. That's kind of what I looked at.
Thank you, Val. All right, Olympia, last hand.
Thank you. I mean, one of my concern is, so I am familiar with SLA, as you all know, I also served as the vice chair of the Nightlife Advisory Board. So the state law does require them to prove public benefit, and for an unlicensed, venue, I think that I mean, it doesn't make sense what they present as public benefit in terms of the liquor license that they're pursuing. So with lessons learned from the past, for a previously unlicensed operator, I would say, why don't we approve them just for beer and wine to see how the location works, and then, move to the next. And to David's point about, getting in the stipulations, I would second if he wants to place again the thing that didn't vote it in the committee as an amendment for the full board to have them. So basically to do that gradually, just because we've seen it previously with other operators, once they get liquor license, then they sell to another operator, and then it's all like a real problem. Thank you.
I'll just address that, which is that part of the reason that we were okay with this license is because the operator already operates in a responsible manner with a full on-premises license in the district. This is not just some, random person who walked off the street. So just to explain why we didn't consider beer wine here.
Yeah, I was referring to the location, basically. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan, you had your hand up last time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we actually don't have any complaints about any of those places on 3rd Avenue. And I would urge people, if they are having problems with restaurants or bars, to please let the community board know so we can work with you. As of now, none of those places have any complaints.
Okay, I'm closing debate on that matter. Michelle, is there anything else you want to add?
I think Sarah has her hand up.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks, Paul. So I wanted to make a motion on SLA item number 5 from August. A motion to change the denial into an approval and to send it back to committee. The situation is a little bit different than the one that we just talked about. The guidance is still part of the considerations for this particular operator, but if you can see in the resolution, or for anyone that was present at the committee meeting, there were many folks who spoke up in support of the operator, and the operator joined the public session earlier and spoke, I think, in a way that makes me feel like they want to work with us in good faith. And we made a motion to deny without stipulations. And so I do feel like we have an operator who was willing to work with us and will go on without us without stipulations. So I think it is really incumbent upon the SLA committee to try to work with that operator to provide stipulations rather than flat out deny and allow the operator to go on without stipulations.
I second that motion.
As do I third it.
Okay, that means there's a motion on the floor to bring this back. This was a SLA item number 5, correct, Sarah?
From August number 5. The address is 23 Avenue A,
And
Corporation.
the motion is to send this back to committee. So, David, go ahead.
I was going to say point of order. Is it to send it back to committee? Because there's a clock. Unless the applicant agrees to postpone, that's ill advised, as we discussed earlier. We'll have no input whatsoever.
Don't we already not have input because we denied without stipulation?
No, I think that we would get a denial. I think that the SLA would not issue the license based on the resolution we passed.
I think
Jamie,
the
you have your
applicants
hand
are
up?
on.
Jamie, you have your hand up? Sorry.
Yeah, I sort of second what Sarah was saying, but also not just the ability to have a hand in an operator, in stipulations that for an operator, but also like I live 3 blocks from there. I work on that block for 12 plus years. I get not turning a dentist office into a bar. That was an operating built out restaurant for, I don't know, 8 of the last 12 years. 2.5 of those 4 years were COVID. It doesn't fit the same mold. I get not adding necessarily new licenses. To me, this is not a previously unlicensed location. It is a currently unlicensed due to globally unforeseen circumstances and the fact that we wouldn't give a license in the first place to the last applicant when I wasn't on the board. So that's my 2 cents.
Jamie, Susan? You're on mute.
Sorry. I just want to speak to the issue of people comparing the SLA issuing a or denying a license on Avenue A to one on Third Avenue. To repeat some of what Michelle said, Third Avenue is C6 zoning. It's highly commercial. Avenue A is a residential area with a commercial overlay, which is for local retail use. And the SLA chair has already said that it is oversaturated, has voted against licenses, and the SLA has voted when they do vote for something like if the community board denies 11 p.m., which is essentially the same thing. So you can't compare SLA reactions and stipulations for Avenue A, which is why the guidance was written. And I will say, you know, just as far as procedure, I tell people when they come to the board, they ask about the guidance, and I say, this is what our board does. And I can't in good faith do that with the guidance. If the board has decided, you know, not to do it, then they should vote and change it.
Michelle, did you want to address anything?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, we're gonna have to vote on this motion, but I believe that the applicant is on if we wanted to ask them if they'll withdraw basically until next month or something, so they won't go to the SLA if we vote to approve this motion.
Give me a second. I'm gonna move
Yep,
them over.
take time.
I'll move Frank over.
I just made him allowed to talk.
That's fine. Frank, is your client gonna want to pull their application?
Yeah, Michelle, I don't want to withdraw it, but certainly would be happy to come to the October meeting.
Will you promise not to go to the SLA?
Yes,
anymore?
of course. You know that, Susan.
That's the withdrawal then.
Then you should withdraw and you'll be
Okay,
put
but
on
I
the
can get on
October.
October, right? I don't want to be in November.
Yes, yes. we
Okay,
could
that's all I
do
care
that.
about.
You'll be put on the October agenda, so we'll be sent back to the committee since you're withdrawing your application here tonight.
That's fine. Thank you.
No
Sorry,
longer-
do we have to vote on that motion?
No, they withdrew their application. They withdrew their application. That's going, the applicant will be put on the October agenda, so the motion is taken off. They withdrew their application. So we gotta take that off the vote sheet.
Okay, I think that's it, right, Paul?
So SLA item number 5 of August is taken off the vote sheet. Their
23,
application has
right.
been withdrawn.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay. So just everybody keep in mind when the votes come up that SLA item number 5 is now off the vote sheet. Keep that in mind, Kenyelle, for the minutes.
Thank you very much, sir.
They've withdrawn their application. Okay. That being said, is there any old business? Any new business? Kenyelle, close us out on the final vote. I'll help you out if need be.
So do the same names again, right?
You can do the same things, but people will be calling out what they vote against. So put that down and I'll help you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone in advance, I'm sorry about the last names. Okay. David Adams,
Absent.
absent. Yaron Outman, absent.
He's absent. He's absent.
Sarah Rose Batru,
Yes.
Lee Berman,
Yes, except no on SLA items 34 and 38.
34 and 38.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anna Calderon,
No.
No to what? Everything?
Yes.
That's every resolution. So just put no to everything.
okay, got it. All right, Carlin Chan,
Yes.
David Crane,
Yes.
Eric Diaz, absent. Tariq Darrell,
Yes.
Alistar,
Yes.
yes. Jamie Felber, Larry Finn,
Yes.
Shirley Fennessy,
Yes.
Catherine Freed,
Yes on all.
Ryan Gilliam,
Yes.
Deborah Glass, Jake Gold,
Yes.
Andrea Goderio,
Yes.
Kenya Hernandez, yes. Herman Hewitt, Trevor Holland,
Herman is on mute. I see him if you want to go back.
okay. Herman Hewitt,
No. Yes.
yes, okay. Trevor Holland,
Yes.
Valentina Jones,
Yes, and abstain SLA 38.
abstain 38. Olympia,
Yes.
Jeanette Kim,
Yes to all.
Michelle Coopersmith,
Yes, thanks, Kenyal.
you're welcome. LeMay Lee,
Yes to all.
thanks for your patience with me, guys. I'm using paper and pen. Okay. Wendy Lee,
Yes to everything.
Alicia Lewis Coleman,
Yeah. Lewis, yes, everything.
Amanda Lee,
That's right. Yes.
yes, sorry. David Louis,
Yes to all.
Laura Lugo,
Yes.
Paul Rangel,
Yes.
Damaris Reyes,
Yes.
Richard Ropiak.
Yes.
Thank you. Thomas Rosa,
Yes.
Robin Chattel,
Chattel. Yes, except no for SLA 38.
Except 38. Heidi Schmidt,
I think she's absent.
thank you. Arnett Scott,
No SL 38 and yes for everything else.
yes, except 38. Larissa Scheinberg, absent. Anisha Simpson,
Yes on everything.
Thank you. Sandra Strutter?
Yes, and take care, Olivia. I wish you the best.
Same, Olivia. Daniel Tahoe? Am I saying that?
Yes.
Daniel?
Taynow, and it's.
Taynow, I'm so sorry,
That's
Taynow.
okay. Yes, except present not voting on Parks 3. I work for the Parks Department, and no on SLA 38.
Thank you. Josephine Velez?
Yes on everything except SLA 38.
Troy Velez?
Yes.
Rodney Washington?
Yes on everything, no on 38.
Thank you. Josiah Waterman?
Joshua, yes on everything. Thank you.
Joshua, sorry. Kathleen Webster?
Yes.
Jackie Wan?
Yes.
July Yang?
Yes.
Thank you again, guys. Sorry for whoever's name I butchered. I apologize.
Thank you, Kenya.
You're gonna get a cut and pay.
Okay.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah,
Thank
don't
you,
worry.
thank you.
The check won't be in the mail. All right. Good job, Kenyelle. It's our first time doing this, and she also did the executive. So great job, Kenyelle.
Thank you.
So that being said, happy September. It's football and baseball season. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Night,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.